All right, well, welcome everybody. This is the 2022 Palo Alto Weekly Election Forum with this year's 7 candidates for East Palo Alto City Council. I'm Jocelyn Dong, editor of Palo Alto Weekly.
And didn't find anything.
And joining me tonight is co-moderator, Palo Alto Weekly staff writer, Sue Drummond. Sue, will you give a little wave? There she is.
Hello.
All right. The mission of the Palo Alto Weekly is to provide accurate and reliable information to community members so that you can make up your own minds about the issues impacting your lives. This event is part of that mission, a chance for you to learn about the perspectives of the 7 people who wish to represent you over the next 4 years. The Palo Alto Weekly is a member-supported organization. If you believe in our mission, we humbly ask for your support by going to paloaltoonline.com/membership. Before we welcome the candidates, let me tell you just how this debate is going to be structured. Sue and I will lead the candidates through numerous topics of importance to the community, and we'll give time limits for their answers to keep things fair. We may ask a follow-up question of a candidate if an answer needs some clarification. And to keep the candidates within their time limits, you will see a timer is being shown on the screen, and that is being managed by my colleague, Raul Ortiz. So thank you, Raul. Now we're going to welcome the candidates who are vying for 2 open seats on the East Palo Alto City Council. We have Ruben Abrica, Jeffrey Austin, Martha Barragan, Mark Dinan, Webster Lincoln, Q Smith, and Gail Wilkerson. To introduce themselves, we asked each to pick one of the following questions to answer. Either, what do you love most about living in East Palo Alto? Or what do you think are the most important qualities in a city council member? So the first candidate to answer the question, whichever question he's chosen, is incumbent Mayor Ruben Abrica. Mr. Abrica, you have 45 seconds for the first question, and you can start now.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I'm a proud 43-year resident of East Palo Alto, and I think it's a beautiful city by the bay. And what I really love, in addition to that, is that I've always have seen and continue to see so many individuals, so many groups working and wanting to transform it for the better. And we have Cooley Landing, used to be a county dump. It's now a beautiful park. We're gonna have 2 pedestrian bicycle bridges over the freeway, which we didn't have any before. And I think that we continue to work and to, particularly in the area of displacement, trying to stop displacement so our residents long-term and people who maybe even just got here can remain here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Minister and Coach Jeffrey Austin. Jeffrey, please unmute and go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. I love the city. I'm a 61-year resident of the city, born and raised here. Went to Ravenswood High School last 2 years. It was open. I just love the resiliency of this place. I love the diversity of this place. I love the ability to come together in hard times of this place. It's home for me. When you think of home, how do you describe home? It's just that place of sanctuary, that place of love, that place of growth, that place of challenge. And that's why I love this city. It's just a challenge to be here. I love every moment of it. Thank you.
It's beautiful to hear everyone's love for the city. Next up is former teacher, Martha Barragan.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to clarify, I'm still a teacher.
Oh, okay, my apologies. Teacher, Martha Barragan.
So I've also lived here about 44 years. And I just wanted to share a little story of the memories I have as growing up here as a child. And I'm very happy because when we moved here, our neighborhood welcomed us. And I think that's what made East Palo Alto our home. And I believe that the community has good families. They have a big heart. They work to provide for their loved ones. We band together in times of need. And I think that it's just a great community that has all these qualities and that's always embracing the changes that we currently are having as well. And I think that's what makes this place a home for me.
Thank you very much. We have Public Works and Planning Commissioner Mark Dinan. He will speak next.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and special thanks to Palo Alto Weekly and our hosts Sue Drummond and Jocelyn Dong for bringing us this forum tonight. I could go on about how much I love East Palo Alto, but I'll take the other question, what makes a good council member? I think that EPA needs city council members who understand our community and the unique cultural history and heritage found in our city. We need council members who have the analytical skills to see how a decision will look today, how it will look tomorrow, and how it will look 5 or 10 years down the road. We need council members who look out for the entire community, residents who just got here and residents who have been here for 50 years. We need city council members who have the integrity to conduct their business in an open and transparent way and not make decisions behind closed doors. Above all, we need council members with the backbone to make tough decisions and live with the consequences and not punt decision making down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Data scientist Webster Lincoln, you have the floor.
Hi. So I've lived in East Palo Alto practically my whole life. And one thing that I love, or things I love about East Palo Alto is like the diversity. There's a lot of different groups and cultures in East Palo Alto, whether, East Palo Alto mostly used to be a African-American community, but we also have a lot of Polynesians and Pacific Islanders and a lot of Latinos from a lot of different places. And so having that kind of diversity, it makes East Palo Alto a beautiful place, to live. So, it's just, that's really what I love about East Palo Alto and living in, here. There's just a lot of diversity and a lot of opportunity that surrounds East Palo Alto as well.
All right, thank you. Planning Commissioner Hugh Smith is up next.
Good evening. Thank you for having me and having us. I will take question 2. What qualities matter most? I think that a planning, I think that a city council member should have good listening skills. I think that they should be empathetic in regards to placing themselves in their residents and community members' shoes, and to focus on equality, that with the diversity that we have, we're not always going to be the same, but to respect everyone for where they are, to meet people where they are, to understand what they're dealing with. I think that's most important to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And small business owner Gail Wilkerson will round out the candidates. Gail, please speak.
Well, I don't consider myself small. I don't know who inserted that. Had 3,500 clients, and that's not small. But I'm running for council for that similar reason, because I love East Palo Alto. Everybody loves East Palo Alto, because a lot of them want to get in here. I had a dream of the way it should go. I have the experience, and I want the path to show that. We're behind in a lot of developments, and the council seems to be stagnant. But that's why I'm running for council.
Thank you, and I apologize. Business owner Gail Wilkerson, not small business owner.
Right.
All right, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so in this next round, this first round is going to be 60-second answers. We've got 4 questions. The topics will be public safety, displacement, civil discourse, and quality of life. And Sue will tee up that first question.
Okay, so the first question is going to be about public safety. And the question is, well, we'll have a little preamble. East Palo Alto Police Department has had staffing shortages in the past, but it's nearly fully staffed now with 5 or 6 vacant positions about to be filled, according to the interim police chief, Jeff Liu. Retention has been difficult for the city's police department because its officers are underpaid compared to other cities' agencies. And the department is still also housed in trailers. So the question is, how would you fund the department to make it competitive with other surrounding departments? And would you support adding more positions? And let's start with Jeffrey Austin, please.
Thank you, Sue. You know, my take on this is truly one that's you kind of get what you pay for. With our police department, I believe that we do need to find more funding. If there's some reserves we can bring to the police department, I do believe in making sure that you know this internal workings of our police keeping us safe, it becomes a priority. We do not want to return back to where we've come from and not having qualified or good police officers. And the reason I say you get what you pay for is, you know, we don't want to have a police department that is taking folks that have had disciplinary problems in other places to come here because the money isn't right. What I say is we find the money whichever way that we can on good police officers and help with the retention.
Thank you. Next, Martha Barragan, please.
Yes. So one idea that I was pondering about was getting federal grants that would help free up some of the basic law enforcement training budget money that could go possibly to increase salaries. And hopefully if we do that, you know, we can have the officers want to come to our community and be part of it and want to stay here.
Okay. Mark Dinan.
Okay, yeah, I think this is an important issue, and you know, I'm definitely concerned when we have 34 positions and only 17 of them were filled at one point this year. So it's a big deal. EPA needs to address pay and benefits for all employees, including police, to make them market competitive. We need to invest in our staff and hold them accountable for delivering the same level of service that residents of other surrounding communities receive. Specific to the police, this starts with enforcing the laws that are already on the books. Even prior to our recent police staffing issues, EPA police were notorious for not enforcing common sense laws against speeding, sideshows, fireworks, and other quality of life issues like loud parties. We need to closely examine whether poor leadership is causing employees to quit and hold all leaders accountable for turnover caused by their own management style. Regarding City Hall, we need to get that built, and I think with a proper development plan, we can do so with $110 million in the bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll turn to Western.
I think, you know, like what's been previously mentioned is that this retention problem probably isn't only in the police department. But, you know, as a council member, I want to make sure that all staff receive competitive pay from, you know, the city manager to the city clerk, you know, and to our police officers. You know, just to make sure that, you know, there's a competitive, they're receiving competitive benefits and compensation that will, you know, help them stay in East Palo Alto and not use it as a stepping stone, which has historically been the practice. But nevertheless, you know, making sure that they are, you know, rewarded for their service to the community is important. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, addressing compensation and benefits and, you know, making it, you know, just across the board. Hopefully we can do that, you know, and moving forward. So that's kind of what the main approach I would take, you know, to help reduce turnover and to retain qualified staff. I can't hear you.
Sue, you're muted.
Oh,
Okay, I don't know how I got muted. Sorry, folks. So Q Smith, what's your take on this?
Thank you. I would work directly with the police chief, the city manager, my council members to come up with solutions and plans, working with HR professionals so that we could get a package for competitive salaries and benefits. And then find out, maybe do a SWOT analysis to find out truly why we are not being able to keep police officers in our community. Is it just the salaries and the benefits? Because sometimes you can take less to get more. And we need to offer something or find out what is really the cause on why the police officers aren't staying. And we could definitely have staff recruitment, have the city invest in local recruitment.
Okay, thank you. Gail Wilkerson. I think you're muted. Gail, I think you're muted. Could you unmute?
Yeah, I'll try to find the microphone. This is all the way in the corner. I thought about all of this a lot, and I'm going to put it out there. It has to do with mentality, because when we have stereotypes, and the first thing people think about is cowboy and Indians kind of mentality when they come to East Palo Alto. And because of those stereotypes, they get here and then they feel the pressure of being humiliated. I once had a scanner and I listened to the police, and Palo Alto said, well, is East Palo Alto coming? And they said, yeah, all 5 of them. Like that was an insult or something. And so they like a lot of gear. They like a lot of trinkets and stuff. They want to feel equal. They want to have good a morale and everything, and pay them. Those are the type of things I think we should look and see in our law enforcement. It's a two-way street.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Ruben Abrica.
Yes, I think on the economic side, both the Ravenswood School District in regards to teachers and the city of East Palo Alto in regards to police or other employees, we're really at a disadvantage. The city council just finished giving all 3 union groups a very hefty increase, particularly the police, and that has helped with the retainment. But it is a long-term issue that all of us need to work on. But even with the money that is now utilized for the police, I think we could do a better job of perhaps restructuring in such a way that there could be some positions that are not, that are more community-based, where people are in touch with the neighborhoods, with the businesses, with the churches, and still, work in tandem with the regular uniformed police. And as far as housing them, the city does own the property where the current RV center is, which is temporary. And we are looking at that as a place where the police could be for X number of years in order to save money from the rent that we pay the current landlords. But I think that the police overall, over the years, has evolved into a good force, and the community also has worked closely. So I look forward to improving that.
Thank you.
All right, so the next topic is the displacement of residents. The first person to answer this question will be Martha Barragan. So about displacement, the city's housing element says that in order to live in East Palo Alto, nearly 1/4 of households are spending more than 50% of their income on rent or mortgages. Families are sharing apartments just so that they can afford to stay in the city. When major corporations move into the area, bringing thousands of higher paid workers, those employees increase the demand for housing locally, which drives up the amount that landlords can charge and home sellers can ask. East Palo Alto does have rent stabilization and a just cause eviction ordinance. So the question is, what more, if anything, do you think can or should be done to address the displacement of residents? Go ahead, Martha.
Okay, so throughout my campaigning and speaking to the people in the community, I have also have spoken to the families that are not just in the low income, but also the working class bracket. And I feel that if we create those mixed housing projects that target the working class families as well as the low income families and offer them programs such as the CSCDA Community Improvement Authority Workforce Housing Program that could help alleviate some of these problems that we're having. Another agency, Cal CHA, is a program that helps also alleviate some of these programs that would target the essential workers such as the nurses, teachers, first responders, just to mention a few. And I feel that also with conjunction with working some of the developers that could help brainstorm some of the ideas and also the rest of the city council, we can come to a common solution that could help alleviate this situation. Thank you.
All right, and Mark Dinan.
Hi, good evening. This is probably the #1 issue in East Palo Alto. Displacement is a huge issue, and what we're doing right now is simply not working. We need a complete change of strategy to make sure residents are not pushed out, and an all of the above approach. It's been over 20 years since a market rate apartment building opened up in EPA, and the lack of new housing leads affluent tech workers to buy up the existing stock of homes and displace existing residents. We must stop blocking and slowing the construction of market rate housing and encourage the construction of new apartment buildings and the condos that have a percentage reserved for BMR units. There are a lot of options available to increase the supply of housing. I support rezoning East Palo Alto to allow apartment buildings and duplex, triplex, and fourplexes in areas that make sense. We should also look at raising height limits, allow for SRO housing, adjust setbacks, and facilitate the permitting of ADUs and naturally affordable housing. This is a #1 issue, and it shouldn't take as long as it does to get housing built in East Palo Alto due to the city council blocking and slowing down projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Webster Lincoln.
So, like housing is a top issue in the entire really Bay Area. And East Palo Alto definitely has some of the strongest, rent protection in the Bay Area. But nevertheless, our city has struggled with preventing displacement. And I think that especially amongst our low income residents, and I believe that we can start addressing those issues by providing our residents with a pathway to homeownership and long-term affordable housing. In addition to producing, more housing at all levels of affordability and continuing to protect tenants from unjust evictions and rent increases. So as a council member, I want to address those things, and I only have a minute, so I can't go into depth about it. So thank you.
And thank you all for abiding by our our time limits. I know it's a kind of a constraint, but just trying to be fair to everybody. So we're answering the question of what more, if anything, should be done or can be done to address the displacement of residents. We're going next to Q Smith.
Thank you. Displacement of residents. We do have our rent stabilization board, and we have staff and a community that is definitely targeted in on that. Again, like in my introduction, I think listening to who has been displaced, I think that we need to have a list of who has done that, make sure we hear what's said, communicate with community awareness and educate who is in a position to fear. Displacement is fear. Your home is about to be altered. And so for me, experiencing that again, having the empathy to speak to people who are in that situation so that we could come up with real solutions. Because if you're not afraid of it, then you may not be able to get to that basic real solution. And so speaking to those people who have been displaced is, or in close to being displaced is really important.
All right, thank you for your perspective. Gail Wilkerson is next.
Yes, I like to say I'm the only person here with a real estate background. I read an article the other day, William Webster. He said in that article, the council is not concerned about gentrification. Do you know how long ago that was? It was a long time ago. And I remember going to the council. I was very, very young and they scared me. And I told them that we are the last horizon on the peninsula, and they were eating around us. And then finally they started coming in a little bit at a time. But we're getting to place. The councils never did anything constructive about it because they didn't care. And none of them has ever had any kind of real estate experience except buying a house. The council should have been the top priority of someone taking real estate classes, except for housing that Carlos has, which hasn't amounted to a hill of beans.
Okay, thank you very much. Ruben, you are the current mayor. Perhaps you have something to say on this?
Well, I want to remind all of us of some statistics because that's the only way we can focus on what we can do, in addition to many of the things that have been said. But 60% of our residents are renters. 40% own their homes, and even some of them face difficulties. But I want to also say that, 20% are protected as a result of, I was one of the persons involved in setting up the rent stabilization law, which protects people from being arbitrarily evicted and from increases in rent. It is the 20% or so, about 12, 13 housing units, homes, and apartments that I think need our compassionate and constructive approach to protect them. And I think the council has been trying to do that. We've supported efforts like the Light Tree Apartments, which is adding another 60, 70 new units. There's a proposal on the west side now to construct more. Even the RBD redevelopment or development area is being considered. The council unanimously said, add more housing to a mixed use. So I think that we just need to keep working.
Okay, thank you. And Jeffrey Austin, you're rounding us out for this question.
Yeah, it's really great suggestions all the way around, and all of them are relevant. But one thing I would like to point out, it's a little different, that this is just not an East Palo Alto problem. This is a regional problem. Not only should we be taking a look at how we can, minimize displacement, but we also need to look to our neighbors to see how are they going to take a little bit of this as well. Because we're only 2.5 square miles. We can only do so much building. We can only get so many units. But because we are attractive for low-income folks, because we do have these wonderful protections in place, it forces us to not be able to serve everyone. And that's the reality of the situation, is that this problem is regional. We all need to sit down as a region also to address the problem.
Okay, thank you so much. And we're going to move back to Sue for the next question.
Okay, so this question is regarding civil discourse. We know that in East Palo Alto, we've had lots of very spirited conversations over the years, and sometimes the conversations in the city have broken down to levels of blaming and name calling and sometimes spreading rumors. How would you model civil discourse to improve communication among residents and city staff? Let's start with Mark Dinan, please.
Hi, that's a excellent question, and I think it's something that East Palo Alto can have a lot of room for improvement on. We see a lot of people talking, a lot of people saying things, presuming bad intentions from myself and other people. I've seen people spread rumors about myself. I've seen people do selective editing of private conversations I've had with people. The kind of editing that could make the 10 Commandments turned completely upside down if you take out the not in some of the phrases. You shall kill, you shall commit adultery. That's the sort of thing I've seen flying around recently. I've also had people who are, stealing signs that we've placed on private residences and spray painted over them. For myself, I'm trying to model what civil discourse looks like. We've had issues of people being extremely aggressive in East Palo Alto neighbors. We just remove them. We have standards and the no jerk policy. So I've tried to model the behavior myself, and we've tried to remove people from public forums if they're going to be abusive. And I guess I could go on for several hours on this, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Okay, so next we'll go to Webster Lincoln.
So to address the question, how I would improve communication, it's really just about being truthful and staying away from the, the rhetoric and the, misinformation. And that's really what I'm about. I don't like to spread rumors and lies just to try and influence public opinion, and particularly on social media. So really it's just about being truthful and sticking to the facts, and then, basing your decision off of those facts, so as a council member, I mean, it really starts at the top, and so I think it's really just about being truthful and honest, with people and the staff and with our residents, and that's really, what I'm about.
Okay. Thank you. How about Q Smith? You're next.
Thank you. Community awareness is extremely important, and I would use the tools that are already there. We have a great website. We have staff that should be able to update it. We have a newsletter that comes out every Friday. We can communicate with the people in our community. We are running for city council. We are representing our city. It's not about what we think or how we feel. We are to serve our community. And that means that they need to be aware of what's going on to the best of our ability that affect them. And that's a lot. So we could get volunteers to help with the newsletter, but we need staff and everybody to be involved to do that. If you're aware, then you can take action. If you don't know, you can't do anything. So I think community awareness using the tools that the city already had in place. And if you can innovate and create something better, great.
Okay, thank you. Gail Wilkerson, please.
Yes, your question is about civil discord.
Discourse. Yeah.
Discourse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of levels to everything, and East Palo Alto is not a simple 2.5 square miles to dissect. There are between 27,000 and 30-something people, and they all have their opinions. And the gentrification didn't just start in the last 5 years. It started like 20 years ago in the foreclosure era, and there was a lot of discord when that happened. A lot of people were foreclosed on, forced out, and then a new set of people came in and gentrified at that time. You just can't wrap it up in 1 minute. It would take more time because we're complex people.
Okay, thank you very much. Ruben Abrica, please.
Yes, as Jeffrey reminded us, as far as housing being a regional, and probably national issue, I would say civil discourse is obviously not unique to East Palo Alto as a concern. I always believe that it is possible to talk civilly with whoever it is, even if we strongly disagree. And that's something that all of us have to remind ourselves. At the same time, I think we should be not shy away from expressing our views and how we feel, because people do elect representatives to tackle issues that sometimes are very difficult and may generate a lot of passion. But I think having a balance is good. But speaking the truth, I do believe that's important. innuendos or rumors or, misinformation.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let's go to Jeffrey Austin, please.
I agree with almost everything that was said. Bottom line for me, it starts with truth. Finding the truth. Is it beneficial to the people? Finding our similarities versus our differences. I mean, we're all pretty much wanting the same things. We want good schools for our kids. We want safe parks. We want people not to run over us doing slideshow things and crazy stuff. We really have to focus on our similarities and understanding that we need to unite and find out those little common grounds that will make us stronger together, because this division is not going to take us any further. It's only going to set us back. So just being respectful, understanding what that means, dignified, and have some pride in where we're from and what we're doing, and then go forward together instead of divided.
Okay, thank you very much. For now, Martha Barragan, please.
Yes, I would also like to echo what everyone has said. I also agree with what has been said so far. However, I strongly want to reinforce the transparency and that people just really need to be informed and not let gossip or rumors make or drive their decisions, but they really do need to be informed. And the way of being informed is actually by assisting the city council meetings and actually being present and being that voice. And like everyone else has said, putting aside any racial tensions and just focus on what the city really needs. What are the problems? How are the solution? How can we come up with a solution? And just putting our heads together, I think can actually help us become better at being a stronger community that we already are, but just being more aware of the respect that also needs to be part of the discussions when we have these type of meetings where we can come together and find a solution.
Thank you.
All right, our next topic is quality of life. And the first person to be answering this question will be Webster Lincoln. East Palo Alto is known for cultural vibrancy, close-knit intergenerational families, a rich history of diversity. All those things contribute to a great quality of life. But so do government services and amenities like parks and libraries, public safety, the enforcement of city codes. So what do you think are the services or amenities that are the most important and also most in need of city funding and city attention at this point? Webster, you have the floor.
So in terms of services, we have a lot of issues in our community when you're talking about quality of life issues. And, it can go from parking to, say, fireworks or, a lot of other things in enforcement of ordinances that are on the books. But there's also another aspect to quality of life, and that's with like businesses, our small businesses who serve our residents, and just having economic opportunities in the community. So really, as a council member, I want to provide people with opportunities in East Palo Alto, and make sure that the businesses that are here are serving our residents, and making sure that some are we have implementing a parking program, just to prevent other people who don't live in East Palo Alto from parking here and clogging our streets. So those are just a few things that we can do to address and improve quality of life for all of our residents.
Thank you. Next is Q Smith.
Thank you. I think quality of life issues start with home. If your home is taken care of, everything else kind of flows with it. So if we could get some program and services to add quality instead of violating everything, that would add beyond quality of life. To be able to go outside and deal with life experiences with your family, being in the park, walking down the street, going to the store, riding your bike. We used to play at the school. We used to play at the parks. It was okay for everybody to just be on the streets, speeding, parking, all that stuff has always been around and probably always be with cars. But it's all in changing the mindset of the residents. Quality of life starts with your mindset. What's good for one family may not be good for the next. But if you have ordinances and laws that are for you that and work with you, then your quality of life is great.
Thank you. Gail Wilkerson?
I've thought about all of this. I brought this up to the city council when Larry Moody was on there, and he agreed with me. Quality of life. It sounded like they weren't even thinking about it, like it wasn't even their radar. I'm on the senior advisory board, and we talk about our citizens and how we can improve their quality of life. I've been here since 1955. I remember the streets. I remember when I could walk, and my kids were brought up here, and not one of them hurt. We had places to park because you didn't buy a car if you couldn't, put it anywhere. And we got around, we caught the bus. I mean, it wasn't beneath us. It was a welcoming adventure, to say the least. But handicap parking, I went to the planning department, the public works, and they denied 2 people handicap parking spaces because it wouldn't be good for the other people who are over parking. And to me, the handicapped people need parking more so than all those people with 10 cars in one house. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Thank you. And Ruben Abrika, you're next.
Yes, well, quality of life. Excuse me, I got to take a little. My apologies. I had to turn off the lights.
No problem.
Yes, I would say that definitely coming out of the pandemic has made it very salient, the importance of, number one, for example, working closely with the county to improve the health of people. We have many people who don't have the means to take care of themselves. I believe we need like an adult care center where many people with disabilities could go and enjoy their lives. In addition, of course, I think we need to activate our parks more, do more activities. And overall, I see the next few years really as refocusing our efforts into the human services area, because whether we are a poor community, a middle income community, a high income community, there's some basic services that we have to try to help and have everyone enjoy their lives in addition to whatever else they're doing. So there is a strong role for government, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Austin.
Thank you. And great stuff. I see it in a couple of different ways. One, I think we need to have put back what was taken. We don't have a recreation center that everyone can actually come to. We have a Y that replaced our rec center, which not all of our kids can go to. Not the whole families can't go there because it's expensive for most of the residents here to actually be there. So we need another rec center. I'd like to see an increase in trees. You ever notice the difference between the smell of the air from East Palo Alto to Stanford University? If you just stand there, you can just feel the healthiness of the air. I just think we should look at that. Mental health services have definitely got to increase. I hate to say it, but we have refugees of war, over the past decades. Folks got a lot of mental health issues in our city, and we need more mental health workers to increase the quality of life for those as well. So it's a really complex question there. Here's my
Yeah, lots to pack into 1 minute, isn't it?
It is.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for being game for it. Martha, you're up next.
Okay. I would like to have the opportunity to continue supporting the residents with their health, their housing, their education. I feel that we also need to invest in our children's future. So education is very important for life of quality. Also having the safe and secure streets so that our children can walk and bike to school are very essential. I also feel that we need to have those parks that we have that should be open to everyone, and it should be accessible to everyone. And we should be able to have parties there to meet up with your neighborhood, community, and to have it safe, above all, to have it safe, and to plan community events to bring everyone together and to also make it fun. Thank you.
And Mark, you're rounding us out.
All righty. That's an excellent question. It's been a core part of our campaign to talk about quality of life in East Palo Alto, because frankly, we all deserve better. We should have police that enforce existing laws against speeding, fireworks, car sideshows, and other dangerous behaviors. We should have parks that are vibrant, not violent, and parks that are clean, safe, and fun, not with their bathrooms and parking lots locked off. We could have music in the parks. We could have cafes tomorrow at Jack Villa Park. In MLK, they already have kitchens there. We need common sense regulation of street parking so people, especially seniors, can have their friends over and not have them walk 2 miles to get to their house. We need safe and secure streets that enable our kids to walk and bike to school. We need animal services that address the problem of feral cats and loose dogs. And finally, we need mixed-use business development that allow restaurants and small local businesses like bars and cafes to be in our community, not in Palo Alto and Mountain View. We have to go to Palo Alto to get a reasonably priced slice of pizza and a beer, and that's just wrong, and it definitely impacts our quality of life. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. We're moving to our next round, and I think we're going to go for 45-second answers on this one. Had a lot of great ideas so far. We want to keep it rolling. So the topics this time are going to be housing, development, water and sewer infrastructure, and jobs. So Raul, would you put 45 seconds on the clock? And Sue will be doing the first question.
Okay, so the first question is going to be related to, I know we touched on this before, but housing, once again, is such an important topic. Like a lot of other Bay Area cities, East Palo Alto has had a serious housing shortage, and particularly affordable housing. The city needs 829 units of housing to meet state regional housing needs allocation demands by 2030. 165 units of housing are required for very low income, 95 units for low income residents. About 40%, 40.3% would be needed. And there are 159 units of moderate income and 410 units of above moderate units, 410 units of above moderate income housing are estimated to be needed under the state mandates. So the questions are, how would you balance the interests of single family homeowners and developers who want to build housing for higher income buyers with the need to build more affordable housing? And what is the housing mix and balance that you would support? And we'll start with Q Smith.
Thank you. Housing is extremely important. We have an assortment of owners and renters. And we are in a situation now that the people that I know, that I'm listening to, the voices that I hear, the incomes are lacking what's available. So I would definitely take into consideration, again, for me, I have to stay in communication with my residents, stay in communication with community members so that I could hear what's needed. California, East Palo Alto is not the only city who California is telling what to build, but we only have so much space to build, and it needs to be effective for our residents.
Thank you. Gail Wilkerson, please.
I concur with Q. I'm in real estate, and there's certain regulations and rules that you are taught in real estate. And we're 2.5 miles. I don't think that we should, I don't like it. Building housing all the time, housing. I heard a developer say that that's all East Palo Alto think about is housing. And we're 2.5 and we invite more people in 2.5 and we got problems with traffic already. We got dust coming off of 101 Willow Road in Bayfront. Cultivate what we have here. And in real estate, you learn you can have rich people in certain areas, and you can have affordable housing in other areas. You have to do it cohesively. We need an urban designer.
Okay,
That's
thank
what
you.
we need.
Thank you very much. Ruben Abrica, please.
Yes, in order to meet, as you started out the question, we do have some responsibilities. And I think right now we're poised to meet those. The area that will be considered for development, the RBD Four Corners, the entire council agreed to increase the number of housing units that would be built with a good mix of low, moderate income from 800 to over 1,000. In addition, there are some current projects already in the works. And so, even under our rent stabilization law, when some renters leave, they do go to the market. So they end up being really a middle income market because now rents are much higher. So it does accommodate, people at different levels of income. But I think that we're on track, I think, to meet our responsibility. And I would hope that other cities do build more housing. That is an issue too. Some of our neighbors need to do more.
Okay, thank you very much. Jeffrey Austin.
I'm with Ruben with my earlier statement. The regional problem as well as East Palo Alto problem as far as the quota or the quotient. What is it? 40%. I'd like to see at least 40% of it be lower income, medium income housing, so that those folks that have survived, all that East Palo Alto has survived. And to be honest with that, I really have a heart for folks that have really survived the true struggles of East Palo Alto, that they still be able to remain here. So I would ask that we have 40% of a lower income bracket on the housing. I think we'll be able to meet this mandates of the state. We've still got a little bit of property left, but that's enough right here. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Martha Patagon.
Yes, I do believe that it is essential for us to have that good use of the mixed housing that everyone else has already mentioned. I believe that we also need to partnership and put our heads together with the neighboring cities to try to find a solution, because it is a problem that's throughout the whole Bay Area. And I do believe that we should honor already what the previous city council members have already established. But then again, I strongly believe that we do need to branch out and seek other ideas from other cities so that we can make this better, not just for our city, but also for the neighboring cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Dinan.
Hi, excellent question. I was at Live in Peace last week talking to about 40 kids about exactly these kinds of issues. I think it's important to realize that housing is a regional problem, not just an EPA problem. And very importantly, we cannot be the only city building affordable housing. Another point that I would make is that building more market rate housing actually slows displacement. It does not speed it up. There's lots of studies on this. It's an absolute truth. More housing leads to less displacement. Lack of new housing has led affluent tech workers buying up the existing stock of homes and displacing existing residents. There's a lot of options available to increase supply. That includes rezoning EPA to allow for apartment buildings, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. We should also look at raising height limits, allow for SRO housing, which are like single room housing, adjust setbacks, and facilitate the permitting of all housing projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Webster Lincoln, what would you do?
So I think that in order to address housing issues in the community, we need to build and produce housing at all levels of affordability. Providing homes and opportunities and pathways out of homelessness. We need homes for people who are returning back to East Palo Alto from college. Just like at all levels. The middle income, low income, making it easier for people to build ADUs on their property. We just need more housing, and it's a supply and demand issue. And so I think that we need to be producing housing at all levels, not just low or high. And, we really need to provide everyone with opportunities in this community.
Okay, thank you.
Our next topic is development, which is a hot topic in any city in the Bay Area. The East Palo Alto has quite a few major projects in the pipeline. Ravenswood Business District and Four Corners could bring as much as 3 million square feet of commercial space. So development anywhere brings the possibility of new jobs for residents, new tax dollars for the city, housing, public amenities, civic space. But it can also result in more traffic, buildings that can be 8 stories tall, potentially displacing some residents. So what do you think of development at this scale? And what specifically would you do as a council member to ensure East Palo Alto gets the benefits and minimizes the negative consequences of development? Ms. Wilkerson, we'll start with you.
All right, this is my wheelhouse. Development. We need an urban designer. I went to the council and meeting and I said, we need one. And we already have a consultant. I said, don't you know the difference between a consultant and an urban designer? And it should have been there from day one, but all the councils, they don't have a real estate background. They don't know anything about real estate. They're giving away our valuable real estate. They didn't have any thought about it. All they know is that I'm up here on my podium, my bench, and I'm being the top hood star of the day. And development, it needs detail and concern and a positive thoughts about it, not just helter-skelter, throwing a building here, throwing a building there. Look at that Amazon building. That is so stupid. And they're going to build another one across the street.
Okay, thank you. All right, design plan. Mr. Abrica, you're next.
The current RBD Four Corners, I think, offers an opportunity, and the council agreed to consider 2 mid-level scenarios, not the one that would construct, 10 towers, which is the maximum, 4 million, 5 million, because that would be total gridlock. So I think that we are on the right track to really demand of anyone who wants to build anything that they provide local jobs, that they provide strong community benefits, that they address, a lot of the issues that historically it has been the developers that have not done enough. So I think this is the second time around that the city and the city council has an opportunity to really make high demands for jobs and for not increasing traffic and having more housing for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey Austin.
I think our development is going pretty well, actually, in comparison to previous times. Everything that Brother Ruben talked about is happening. The developers have been with their sleeves rolled up, learning from the community what is there. I'd like to see some nighttime entertainment stuff in our development, as well as some mixed use stuff, to where families can go out here instead of having to go to Santa Clara, to a movie or whatever. Just some of those things we've always wanted here. I'd like to see that here. And I'd like to see a major grocery store here too. Thank you.
All right, a vote for food. Excellent. Martha Bodegon, you're up next.
I would like to see a more balanced community with an array of just basic necessities. And this would be something such as mixed use of retail cafes. And ultimately for me, it would be the renovations of the schools. I believe that we really need to invest in our children's education. I know that there are plans currently of undergoing these renovations, which make me very happy. And I feel that in order to have a strong community, we need to also play that into the equation of the productions that are in hand right now in terms of the continual development of some of these projects that we have. I think that it's very important because it will bring the betterment of all generations. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mark Dinan?
Hi, excellent, question, and something that's on the minds of all people, especially folks like me who live right next to the RBD. Whatever happens there will impact my life directly. It's literally over my back fence. So what I'd say about it is new development is in many ways the reversal of redlining. Investment in a community that has been marginalized for decades. I would like to see mixed-use development that brings positive changes to East Palo Alto and turns blighted properties into vibrant areas with housing, bars, restaurants, movie theaters, and other amenities that residents strongly support. We need to be mindful of many issues, traffic being the primary one, but we strongly reject the notion that development on empty lots will lead to displacement. Development needs to be a win-win for both the community and the developers.
All right, thank you. Webster Lincoln.
So when it comes to development, one of the questions that I was asking one of our city staff was, how much development do we need in this community to support adequate city services? Because overdevelopment can lead also to quality of life issues by itself, with increased traffic throughout the community and so on and so forth. So we really need to find a balance between quality of life and development in our city. We're only 2.5 square miles and we already have gridlock traffic throughout the week. So we really need to do a realistic assessment of that, moving forward, just to make sure that it's a win-win situation for everybody in East Palo Alto.
All right, and last but not least, Q Smith.
Thank you. 8 ounces can only hold 8 ounces. I think that development is definitely something that needs to continue. However, it has to be balanced. It has to make sure that the existing residents, as well as the newcomers, have the services that they need. We have a community that's struggling with existing people. We have homeowners and we have renters. However, with these developments, we need to have developers that will give us local careers for our residents. We need services, we need restaurants, we need nail salons, we need hair, we need a grocery store. What does our residents need? And who are they? Do we know who we are servicing?
All right, thank you so much for all your thoughtful answers. I'll move it back to Sue.
Okay, and so this next question has to do with water and sewer infrastructure. East Palo Alto's water and sewer infrastructure are antiquated and may not be able to support much additional growth. Development is dependent upon both of them. East Palo Alto Sanitary District wants developers to pay large impact fees to upgrade its system, and that's caused an uproar with developers. The city is now asking the California Association of Local Agency Formation Commissions to make the East Palo Alto Sanitary District a subsidiary of the city. Separately, the newly approved Water System Master Plan estimates a budget of system repairs at about $81 million. The city has 7,900 households, 7,300 of which are within its water system ownership. Penciled out, that's about $11,000 in costs per household for the water system upgrades alone. The cost to date doesn't take into account inflation by the time a project is actually undertaken. So how would you fund these projects? And should residents, developers, or a tax pay for the system upgrades? Let's start with Ruben Abrica, please.
Yes, well, we did inherit a very old system, the water system, and the council already has invested money. We're actually coming up with the opportunity also to add a few $1,000,000. And so I do think it is one of the challenges that the city faces, but I'm confident that we can meet it. With the new developers, I think developers need to pay their share because they do extract a lot of value. The main thing I think is to study carefully just how much it will cost. And you're right, it's very expensive. We're already talking with the state to get a loan from them, but we need to have all our numbers, estimates, and we could get a low interest or no interest loan to just speed that up.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey Austin, we'll have you next.
I agree. We need an accurate number on what this is going to cost. That's the third actual figure that I've heard. So I don't exactly know how it costs, but I do believe that all parties should take a part in this because it's going to benefit everybody. And I think we can also use this as an opportunity to create employment opportunities for many of our young people. We can train them through the unions, bring them in and have them replace these piping things. And I think we could kill two birds with one stone on this infrastructure problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Martha Barragan, please.
I'm not quite an expert yet in this topic, but I will give it the best shot. I am aware that our city has inherited a very decaying, I can almost say, water pipe system. And I feel that it is very important that we do upgrade this infrastructure, and perhaps, like others have suggested, it should be a partnership between the developers and the city to try to put their heads together to come up with a better solution that's a win-win for everyone. And also to do it in a transparent way where we actually know what the true and precise cost of this would actually be, so that way we can see how we could better divvy up and problem solve the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, you're next.
Yeah, hi. I'm the vice chair of East Palo Alto's Public Works and Transportation Commission and have thought about these issues at some length. The EPA sanitary district is grossly mismanaged. Its massive overcharges have blocked the construction of the primary school, affordable housing projects, individuals who want to build ADUs, the Sobrato Nonprofit Center, not to mention many business developments. I strongly support the LAFCO report's suggestion that the city of EPA absorb the sewer district. Regarding the financing, we can finance the replacement of aging infrastructure with state and federal grants, low and no interest loans, bond measures, and developers paying their fair share. Additionally, East Palo Alto currently has $110 million in reserves, and we can tap into this to finance new infrastructure.
Thank you, Mark. Webster Lincoln.
First and foremost, I do not agree with subsidizing billionaire developers or shifting their costs onto our existing residents. I just want to get that out there first and foremost. I believe, the council should be working together with the sanitary district to address some of the challenges moving forward. Even with the LAFCO report, we're talking about 5 years that it will probably delay development even more, trying to pursue this process, and it's costly. So I think that we should all be partnering with our organizations within East Palo Alto to address these issues. And some of the numbers I'm seeing are $10,000 for not only the sewers, but also for the water. So that's $20,000 at least for every resident in this community. And there's no way that I would support shifting those costs of this in development onto our existing residents.
Okay, thank you, Webster. Q Smith.
Thank you. I think that if you're not doing your job, then you need to be reviewed. And under the circumstances, I don't have a lot, and so I don't want to talk prematurely, but working with the sanitary district and the city, that decision will be made. But I'm more concentrating on the fact that water is needed, infrastructure is needed. Our residents are already struggling with day-to-day need, essential needs, and water is one of them. So we need to find a way to get some grants, funding. There's a brick building resilient infrastructures and communities. That'll get $50 million. We need to get active. We need to get the community active and hear what they say. It's about the people. It's about living. And as you said, the quality of life.
Thank you. Gail, what's your opinion on all of this?
Oh, God, only 45 seconds. I'm on the
Sorry.
Rate Advisory Committee for the Sanitary District. There's a lot of backstory to this, and it just, I can't contain myself with, okay, we have a 75-year with the life on the pipes. And there haven't been not one busted. There's no sewage running in the streets, but they're being attacked by certain people with falsehoods, misrepresentations. Now, someone mentioned Kumbaya, talking to them. You know, how much talking do you need? I told them one time, you could bring God down into your committee and they still wouldn't believe you with it. But I do believe in deferred maintenance. And they do have a machine that's detecting older pipes and how they're rusting and rotting. But there's a certain group in East Palo Alto who's attacking the sanitary department, and they're trying to convince the city, well, they have, and I think it's collusion, extortion, and racketeering, because they're squeezing the sanitary department. And that my time's up.
Okay,
There's a lot to be said.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about jobs next. So in April of this year, a revised first source hiring ordinance was approved. This applies to large public works and publicly subsidized developments, and it aims to create a path not only to retail and service jobs for residents, but also jobs in tech and the building trades. In your opinion, is this new ordinance enough to move the needle on unemployment and underemployment among residents? And if not, what more do you want the city to do to help residents prepare for and to get higher paying work? We'll start with Jeffrey Austin.
I kind of mentioned a little bit of this solution in my mind earlier with the infrastructure that's needed, all these repairs that we need. We could collaborate and train our folks to do those jobs, and those jobs will last for quite a while, and they'll be good, high-paying jobs that could help alleviate some pressures for folks. But I'm looking at creating employment in fixing our city and sprucing up our city. It's going to be plenty of opportunities for that. But one thing I must say too, it has to start at the top. Our first source hiring has to go from the city all the way out to the lowest contractor out there. We have to lead by example. So our city should also be enforcing that first hiring practice.
All right, from top to bottom. Okay, we'll move on to Martha Barragan.
I believe that knowledge is power. So therefore, I believe that we do need to have more training on high demand jobs. I believe that we also need to collaborate in conjunction with the job train program that's just neighboring to our city, so that we can have these highly qualified residents from our city that can actually have first dibs for these jobs. So I believe that that's very essential and very crucial in order for us to have a more robust offering for our own residents and also for those jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Dinan.
Yeah, hi. I think first source hiring is an interesting subject. And as a recruiter, I'm aware of how difficult it is to fill positions with qualified people. Right now, I would say that East Palo Alto's unemployment rate of 2.5% is not the same unemployment rate as when first source hiring was first written. What I would say is that instead of addressing income through projects like first source hiring or laws like first source hiring, I'd like to encourage helping the many entrepreneurs in East Palo Alto earn a better living by helping them with licensing, helping them with things like marketing, accounting, starting small businesses, and becoming independent and making good salaries running their own business, as opposed to a law that might lead to kind of a patronage system, where if we do have first source hiring in government projects like working for the city, where it might be who you know, not what you know. So I have concerns about it. I don't think first source hiring is an adequate answer to the problems faced by 2022. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have Webster Lincoln.
So I think that, the city can help fund programs and job training programs, because not every job in tech is like a software engineering job. There's a lot of like lower level jobs, like I wouldn't say lower level, but non-technical jobs that a lot of our residents can fill. We have Amazon in this community. We can find jobs like technical recruiting, which aren't high level jobs that can help support, help people support their families, in tech and get those salaries, jobs on the business side. So I think that we should, also be helping our residents, with finding those programs within the community and helping them get into those roles that, so.
All right. Thank you. Q Smith.
Again, for me, it's people, people, people. I think that in order to get jobs, we need to invest in our people. We need services and programs to, yes, educate, train. But I came up in a time to where you can get on the job training. You were concentrating on your career. You have the opportunities to at least get a chance if you have the passion and the drive to get in the door. We need some developers who will allow us to get in the door across the board. Everybody is not going to be a tech executive, but getting in the door and having upward mobility and the developers who are here to make that available, that's the key too. Everybody doesn't want to have lower level jobs.
All right. Gail Wilkerson.
I say the unpopular things, okay? I don't have talking points. And it was a fact, it was brought up some years ago that this first job hiring source only pertains to a certain amount of people. They said IKEA was the only one that got to 30% or something like that. But we don't have, just face it, a lot of people aren't skilled unless you bring in a dollar store or something like that. I think Carlos agreed with me when I said that. They're just not here. And to force employers to hire unskilled people, it's atrocious. It's stupid. It's silly. One council person even said something about undocumented workers having a disability and being employed. I say the unpopular things. It's the jobs. The people can't qualify.
Okay.
And I could throw in the postal service when I worked there, and we had to fire people because they won a lawsuit. The Hispanics won a lawsuit. We hired them, but one by one they got fired because they couldn't speak English. That's all.
Okay. Ruben Abrica.
I have supported first source hiring ever since the founding of the city. And most recently, I would say, with the passage of Measure HH by almost 80% of the community of the voters. It's a strong message that we need to not only provide more jobs locally, but also upgrade the jobs that are here already. Even though we have a low unemployment rate, but we need better jobs for people. Also, I think youth employment is very important. The city has invested money in that. I would like to see even more investment, making sure that young people have opportunities of internships, mentorships, jobs. Also creating a big center for micro businesses. There could be 100 places where we have a lot of people who are very entrepreneurial in small little ways, and then they grow. And I really feel strongly we need to do things like that, continue to improve the economic life of every household.
All right, a lot of ideas here. Well, we're coming in on 8:30, and I do want to give everyone a chance to make sort of a closing pitch. If there's any topics that we didn't ask you about tonight, you can put that into your closing statement on why should voters vote for you. Let's see. So I'm trying to figure out who so I think Jeffrey was the last one to start. So this time, who's going to start? Martha. This is your closing statement and you have a minute.
Sure. So I would like to thank the Palo Alto Weekly for extending the invitation for me to share my ideas. This is the first time I've ever done this. So it's a completely new experience and I'm totally embracing it. But I would like to leave you with this in mind, that as a community that has gone through various changes and that's currently going through a lot of changes, I believe that we're greater together and that if we work hard for the common purpose, that's what's going to unite us. I promise to work with my colleagues and the community to ensure that East Palo Alto is a city that comes second to none. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Mark Dinan.
Hi, thanks again to Palo Alto Weekly for hosting. Martha Berrigan and I are running a united campaign for a better and brighter future for East Palo Alto, and we're asking for your vote this November for City Council. We all deserve better. You deserve a city with clean water. You deserve a city with safe streets, available parking, and sidewalks. You deserve a city with businesses, and you should not have to leave East Palo Alto to go out to eat, get a haircut, or get an oil change. You deserve a city with much more housing, and it should not take 4 years to approve a new apartment building. You deserve a city that takes governing seriously, not a city with vacancies at city manager, police chief, and city attorney. You deserve a city that has police who enforce common sense laws against speeding cars, dangerous sideshows, and illegal fireworks. So I'd ask you this November, vote for a better East Palo Alto, Martha Berrigan and Mark Dinan for City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Webster Lincoln.
Hi, so my name is Webster Lincoln, obviously, and I kind of want to see our community continue to, thrive and grow as a diverse community of color. I was endorsed by the San Mateo County Latinx Democratic Club, and I'm really just asking for your support and your vote. I grew up here in East Palo Alto and I love our community. And, I currently serve on the East Palo Alto Sanitary District Rate Advisory Committee. I help support and also contribute to other nonprofits in the community. Really, and as a council member, I want to make sure that our city is providing services that are beneficial to all residents. And I believe when it comes to new development, it should serve all of us as well. And it should also provide us with significant community benefits, like subsidized space for our local entrepreneurs and small businesses, and jobs for our residents, and then also all housing at all levels of affordability. So I'm asking for your support and your vote in this election. Thank you.
Thank you. Q Smith, you're up next.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking you to work with me so that I can be a voice for what we need. I'm born and raised here. I'm a homeowner. I have family who are renting and own homes. And East Palo Alto is authentic. We have the best. We're in Silicon Valley and we're going to grow. And I want you to help me to represent you so that we can get the best of what we need. I want to preserve our heritage. I want to respect our diversity. I want to see generational wealth and legacy. I want East Palo Alto to continue to do what it's doing, but it has to be done in a balanced way with everybody in mind. We won't always satisfy everybody, but at least everybody can be in mind. Let's push for equitability and have the services that we need. Preservation and transformation. We matter. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Wilkerson.
Okay, the unpopular one. 1955, I've been here. I've seen the changes. I was hoping that the city would go into the proper direction when it was incorporated. We brought diversity to the table, but it seemed like those people have abandoned our traditional and legacy residents. I'm here for them. I'm here for people who want to preserve their traditions and heritage. People are forcing them out. Some of them are sitting here on this panel right now, and you just know my blood is boiling, and I feel passionate about this. I'm here for you. If you want me, if you want the same thing, vote for the there's 4 of them here. Vote for them if you want the same thing. If you want something different, come to Gail, okay? You're gonna hardly find my name on the ballot because I'm last and I didn't have a statement in time. But if you want to change and in the proper direction, I have empathy. I have 3,500 clients, all races, ethnic backgrounds. I have empathy and you can talk to them. In fact, I'm gonna advertise for them to come forward.
Thank you, Gail. Next is Ruben. And I think you're muted right now.
My apologies. Yeah, thank you, Weekly, and thank all the other candidates. I'm running as an independent, but I definitely enjoy and appreciate everybody's points of view because I think by airing our ideas is a way that we can come together. I do want to add one thing on quality of life. I have decided to take on the issue of really phasing out the Palo Alto airport. First of all, if you read an article that came out in the New York Times this weekend, air travel is really the worst that could happen to the planet. And for us, we've had crashes in East Palo Alto, very dangerous. It affects several neighborhoods constantly. And, we work together with our neighboring cities, but I think this is one, like the traffic that goes through university that has been imposed by us in the past. And I really feel it's another opportunity for us to redress some of the past things and continue to do the best for our community. So thank you, everybody, and appreciate your consideration for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jeffrey Austin.
Great. Thank you, Palo Alto Weekly, for having us. Thank you for the fellow candidates. Really great stuff said tonight. And I'm sure that each and every one of us that are running for city council have the greatest of intentions to make East Palo Alto the greatest city on the planet. I mean, if we didn't believe that, we probably shouldn't be running, right? I leave you with this evening. Our city is one that is in transition. It's in transition on many fronts. And what I truly believe is needed is a revival of neighbors being neighbors again, a revival of pride in our city, a revival of our parents being able to parent, a revival of our city staff just opening our doors, getting back on, getting back to work, a revival of the tossed away idea of a youth rec center that could be all inclusive for our kids. Measure L is important to be thrown in there. These things are going to help us to move forward as a city. And we're calling for a revival of the faith-based community to once again stand up and be a strong force in the community. I'm asking for your vote because a house that is truly divided can never stand. Thank you.
Thank you all. We've come to the end of our forum tonight, and so many great visions and ideas here. I really appreciate the time that you've taken to spend with us. On behalf of Sue Drummond and all of us at the Palo Alto Weekly, we just express our gratitude to the 7 of you for your heart for the city, the hard work you're putting into your campaign, and your willingness to serve the residents of East Palo Alto. If you want to rewatch any of tonight's forum, it'll be posted tomorrow on paloaltoonline.com/YouTube. And you can find our election guide with candidates' views on the issues that we talked about tonight and some other ones on paloaltoonline.com. Again, to the candidates, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. And we wish everyone a very good night. Thanks for joining us.